man. How you doing?
Amazing. How's it going?
Yeah, good, bro. How have you been?
Good. Yeah, not bad. I actually, as you can see, there's a fat graze on my cheekbone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had I had a mad cycling accident on
Oh,
Wednesday,
shit.
so I was in A&E until like 2 a.m., which is really annoying, but all good.
Damn, that's horrible. But you're okay otherwise? It's just like a superficial. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Nothing broken or fractured or anything like that. So
that's
all
good
is
to
good.
hear.
All is good. How are
Sweet.
things
And
going on?
how? Yeah, good, man. How are things progressing on the app, etc.?
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I would say still about 2 weeks before we officially hit the App Store and that. Um, but just focusing on the best way to approach getting beta testers, focusing on the supply side or the demand side first, and the relevant way of doing it. So offering free trials or thinking of different ways to do it. But lots going
Yeah.
on. All is good. So can't complain. How about yourself? How are you coping in this weather, man? It's cooled down a bit, but
It's cool down a bit. Yeah, yesterday was horrible. I actually live like kind of high up and it's all
okay,
windows.
nice.
So I have to wear sunglasses in the daytime just to work because
Yeah,
the light is just too much. So I'm like on my computer wearing sunglasses inside my own house.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, today's been the opposite, right? It's kind of stormy a few
yeah.
minutes ago. And then, the education system seems to be in crisis again
Mate,
as of, yeah, I think it's
A-level
like
results.
39% of students have been bumped down a grade and are
Hambles.
likely to miss their offer, which is absolutely mad. So we're trying to work out what we can do to help. So we've got some gap year articles and activity lists and some guidance on how to navigate the clearing decision.
Mm.
Absolutely crazy. And it was such an obviously, like, it's so obviously going to go wrong, like an algorithmic solution to such a subjective grading system. But
Yeah.
anyway, is what it is.
So to kick off, it would be great if you can tell me a bit about yourself, tell me a bit about your background, and then we'll dig deeper into everything as we go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Andrew. I dropped out of school when I was 16 to start my first business. It failed, leaving me about a month to self-study all of my A-level exams. I used YouTube, the student room, and a bunch of like torrent sites to download past papers from the 1990s. And I ended up getting 98% in my A-levels, got into Cambridge and LSE, got the highest grades of the year. And I was like, wow, that's insane, because I dropped out of school thinking academia wasn't for me. And then just self-studying on my own, I'd been able to like outperform everyone else at my school and across the country. From there, I started university. I started a bunch of other sort of education projects. And then in my last year, sort of building off the experience I'd had as a 16, 17-year-old self-studying my A-levels, I built an online learning company called Uplearn, which built courses to help other students self-study their A-levels. And then after 2 years running Uplearn, from my last year at university into 2 years into after graduation, the company was doing very well. So we had like 100,000 plus students. It scaled to like a 10 million pound valuation, which is all very exciting. But I had totally burned myself out. And I'd realized, like, since age 16, I'd never been on holiday. I'd never sort of explored any of my intellectual curiosities. I'd just been like working, and I'd been so driven, and there were loads of like tangible results to show for that. But inside, I was like not a happy person at all. So that was 2 years ago. Since then, I've been traveling the world, doing all the things that are kind of on your bucket list, but most people never actually sort of get to tick off. And then a few months ago, I came back to the UK to start working on my next big venture. And I'm like in a very happy, kind of positive headspace now. And it's really, whereas before, I think I was kind of super driven because I felt like I had to be, like I had to become successful. I'm now in a place where I'm just like excited to work on things that sort of inspire me. So the project I'm working on right now is called UniRise, and we're doing a lot of different things, but fundamentally we are helping students applying to university get into top universities, make the best choices for them, pass the admissions tests, interviews, the exams that are necessary to get into these universities, and then also have an amazing time at university. So that's kind of our big mission.
Amazing, amazing. If we take it back, what was growing up like? What were your parents like? What were your family like in terms of academia and careers? Were they strict on you? Because you said you dropped out of school, right? So
Yeah.
how was that like?
Well, so neither of my parents knew until I got an offer from Cambridge, and then I can't remember. My mum noticed that basically I used to hide behind the sofa
Yeah.
so that they couldn't see me, and then I would just like I'd either go out during the day or I'd like do things on my laptop. I started like a little tutoring company, and I'd be working on business things. So yeah, they didn't actually find out until like a year and a half after I dropped out. And yeah, it was after I got an offer from Cambridge. My mum like came home or something, and she was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I don't know. I've just been here. And then she got an email from the school saying your son hasn't been at school. I think she emailed the school, and they were like, your son hasn't been here for like over a year. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she freaked out initially, but then it was like, well, I've already got offers from, my number one university, which was LSE at the time.
Yeah.
What's the point? I've done that without school.
So
yeah.
At what age did you drop out? 15 or 16?
At 16, so year 12.
So you decided, all right, I'm not going to school no more, but you still studied.
Well, initially, no. So I dropped out because I thought I could make it big with this like little business that I was running when I was 16.
Got it.
And then when that kind of just didn't blow up as I had wanted, I was like, shit, I need some kind of safety net. And that's where I started self-studying to kind of.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you somehow managed to get your LSE offer and Cambridge offer.
Yeah.
So then you ended up at LSE.
Yeah.
And you studied econ, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it just straight econ or?
Yeah, just straight economics.
Cool. And so going into your first year, obviously the culture at LSE, everyone's focused on spring weeks, internships, all of that good stuff. Was you involved in that, or what was your plan? What was your strategy?
Yeah, so prior to entering LSE, I'd been reading this book called City Boy, I think. And it was all about investment banking. And I read the first half of the book, and it was all about how you can make tons of money and you go to these crazy parties and the nightlife. And then when I got to LSE, I read the second half of the book, which is how money has kind of dried up. It's all very like formal and rigid, and most of the partying, etc., has kind of ceased. And then I started at LSE going to networking events and talking to people in the profession, and they would just say all these like crazy things like, I wake up at 5 a.m., but the hours are really good. And I usually get to sleep at like 1 in the morning. So I have like 4 hours of sleep a day. And I was like, what do you mean the hours are good? That sounds terrible. And they're like, oh yeah, but like in a few years I'll make VP and then the hours go down. I was like, but you're killing yourself like right now. And then I watched a lecture by Anton Krail. He left Goldman Sachs to do kind of his own thing. And he made some good points, which are like, if you divide your salary by the number of hours you're working at a big bank like Goldman Sachs, you're not actually making a lot of money. It's something like 11 pounds an hour. And then I kind of got into because I'd already had a bit of business background, I started talking to a lot of startup people. And what I realized is like, if you can do the work for 5 years, kind of burn yourself out, not enjoy that experience. But there is potentially a better alternative, which is work, probably equally as hard, take on a bit more risk, but start a company and build an asset that can like pay you money even when you are not, actively involved in the business. So I think it was like after reading the 4-Hour Work Week, where I was really like, okay, this is, I think this kind of startup build like some kind of automated passive income stream. This is really what I want to be doing. And I've always been like a bit more creative. That's how I got into like the whole startup space.
Got it. And then, so you do your 3 years at LSE. Did you do any typical internship in that time, or?
I did 11 internships
Oh
while I was at
shit!
LSE,
All right, you know what? I need to pull up your LinkedIn profile, man. Sorry, I'm not with it.
but no. But none of them were at banks. So they were all at different like startup places. And I did try to apply to banks. So I tried to apply to a few, but I
Yeah,
always got to this stage where it was like, talk about why you're interested in the job, or talk about why like current affairs interest you. And I was like, to be honest, like they just don't. And so I never actually like followed through on these applications, just because I
yeah.
was like, I got to that stage and I was like, I don't want to lie and bullshit my way into a job. So
Fair.
that was kind of where I ended up.
Got it. And I'm just on your LinkedIn page now. For A levels, you got 4 A stars, very impressive. And you got tons of awards for like highest score in this, highest score in that.
Yeah.
Wow. Got it. So then LSE SU Entrepreneur Society. Tell me a bit about that. So you were the president. What was that like?
Sure. So in my last year at LSE, I was elected president of the Entrepreneur Society. And that was something that I was really passionate about at LSE, because I felt like so many of like my friends at LSE were kind of mindlessly going into the like finance world. And I think like the best example of that was my girlfriend while I was at LSE at the time.
Yeah.
And she was like creative and into art and drawing and like dancing. And she was like going into like an ops job at Goldman Sachs. And I was like, why are you doing this? This totally isn't for you. And so like I really wanted to promote the Entrepreneurship Society, because I really felt quite passionately that, you know, people, I'm not suggesting that entrepreneurship's for everyone, but just that there's this other option that needs to be made, sort of awareness needs to be raised around it. So when I got the society, it was in a really shit state. So we were like £2,000 in debt. Basically, nobody was signing up because everyone was joining like the private equity society and the investment banking society. But I formed like a really good team of people, and then I gave them like missions. So I didn't tell them like what to do. I wasn't micromanaging. I was just like, yo, I want like 10 CEOs of like the biggest, coolest startups right now. And we got like the CEO of Shazam to come down, the CEO of Deliveroo to come down, Planet Organic. And like those events were packed out. So that started to lift kind of what we were doing. I tried to make sure we had one event per week. And then we also started this project called Kickstart London, which was like, okay, so now you're kind of interested in the space, but how do you actually start a company? So Kickstart London was like an accelerator, and it connected students at UCL, LSE, and Imperial. They met up and we took them on this 10-week workshop where we actually started a business with them. And so like upon graduating, they'd actually have some of the skills needed, or they could even just continue that company they'd started. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was stressful because I was doing a lot of other things at the time, and obviously I'd started my own company during that point as well. But it ended up doing really well, and now the Entrepreneur Society is like one of the big 3 societies at LSE.
Nice. So in your third year, when you're doing all of that, and you're wrapping up your studies, you decide to start Uplearn, right? And so that's a company where it helps students kind of online teaching for A levels and guarantees them an A or an A star or their money back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you balance that? So running the startup, doing your final year at LSE, and then being a president of a society. How did you balance all of that? Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that the number one like productivity hack is batching. So for example, my week would look like, so I was also like self-funding my university.
Oh, nice.
So Sunday, I would do 12 hours of tutoring back to back. And that would make me like 600, 700 pounds, which would then pay for like my costs and the degree. So that was like, but I didn't do it like the way a lot of people do like part-time jobs, is like a few hours here, a few hours there. It was just all one day, and that was set aside. Then exactly. And then Monday, Tuesday, that would maybe be like catching up on studies, watching all of my online lectures. I never went to a single lecture. I watched them all online on 2 times speed. And so that dealt with that. Then like evenings, I'd have like 7 to 8 or something like that to work on producing content for the company. And then I'd have like a weekly meeting at like Wednesday, and it would be a working meeting with the Entrepreneur Society. So we'd sit down, we'd like talk about what's going on. But then more than that, we'd actually like in those 3 hours, we'd execute on all of the shit that we said we were going to do. It was all like very regimented and like batched. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. So then you graduate and then you become a teacher at the LSE. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
How does that
happen? So I did quite well at LSE. So I got the highest grades in my second year there by like quite a margin as well. So
which modules?
Which module? So it was macro, micro, metrics, and I did a philosophy module as well.
Got it.
But basically, I'd made friends with one of the teachers there, and we met up a year after I graduated, and we just went for dinner, and I bought him dinner.
Yeah.
And he was sort of mentioning like, yeah, LSE's making some teaching changes. They're also a bit low on staff. So I was like, okay, this is my little opportunity to get in. So I was like, look, could you put in a good word for me? And look, I've got like, I can teach this material. I did really well at the, I didn't like hack the exam either. Like I really know the material really well. And yeah, they were happy to like bring me in. And the first few weeks were like not good because I was kind of like, I wouldn't like bad mouth the university, but I felt like I was mistreated because everyone else had a master's or a PhD. And because I didn't, they were sort of like, I don't know, just kind of yeah, exactly, man. And they would kind of like, they kind of pigeonholed me as like, you know, anyway, like lots of strange things, but
I hear you. That's annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. But eventually, I mean, I got through that, and I ended up winning the LSE Class Teacher Award for having the highest student feedback.
Nice.
And that was because in many ways I didn't listen to like the advisors and like the people in charge of the teaching. I was just like, look, I am a student. I was a student literally a year ago. Yeah. I know exactly what's wrong with the teaching system here.
Yeah.
And so I did my own thing, and they were like, it was totally different. And like in my, like some of the appraisals I got from the students, they were like, this is basically what LSE teaching should look like. And I was like, cool. Cause I spent like 8 hours preparing for every one class. That's how seriously I took it. Cause I really wanted to like do something. So yeah, so that was a cool opportunity, and I learned a lot from the experience, and it's also given me a lot of credibility because I'm not just a student now. I'm actually been a teacher there.
Yeah. So, all right. So then you do your Upland stuff, and you mentioned before, you know, it was good, but it came to a point where you decided to kind of move on. And so talk us from that point. You know, you've done your first startup. It's doing all right. It's got a good valuation, but you're looking onto the future and something different. So take us from that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, like I said, I left because I hadn't really spent time, you know, working on myself. It had all been like, I was on like some kind of treadmill running towards this dream future. And then I realized that, you know, like this is probably the time to actually start living that future as opposed to delaying it.
Yeah.
And so I basically just made like this huge bucket list of all the cool stuff I wanted to do. So it was like kite surfing, boxing, Spanish, travel. And I kind of just created this plan to like travel the world and do all of these things. And yeah, that's kind of what I ended up doing. So yeah, I started in Israel, traveled all through Europe, Latin America. Yeah, lots of crazy adventures along the way. And now I feel just like much more rounded I feel like I've lived basically. Yeah. Whereas before I felt like I'd achieved, which is very different.
Got it. And then talk me through how the founding of UniRise happened. How did that idea come about? And yeah, just tell me a bit more about it and your plans with it going forward into the next 6 months to a year and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually started a year ago where I'd had a kite surfing accident. So I was back in London for like just a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, you know, I can't just sit around doing nothing. So I had a couple ideas, and I sort of created test web pages to sort of get them up and running.
Yeah.
The UniRise idea came to me just because, like, I've with the private tutoring I used to do, so many smart students would come to me with just the worst personal statements, full of cliches, and they would be like name dropping books, and I'd be like, this is going to get you like flat out rejected, because right now students don't even do year 12 exams, they don't do AS levels. So the number one piece of information that that universities have is the personal statement, because as we've seen, predicted grades are, they're not they're often inaccurate. Then they can't, universities aren't actually allowed to put a lot of weight on the reference, because it's so easy to bias the references. And then GCSE grades, obviously, you've done years ago. So really all universities have is this personal statement. And I then read a study by the Sutton Trust, which showed how 75% of teachers' personal statement judgments are wrong.
Yeah.
So if you open, yeah. If you actually read it, it's really funny, because like they compare teacher feedback to university feedback. And so the teacher's like, this is an excellent opening paragraph, it clearly shows your enthusiasm. And then the university admissions lecturer is like, this is a vacuous opening. This would strongly decrease the student's chance of getting into our university.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something to solve that problem, because this issue, it's 7 times worse for students from underprivileged schools, because those teachers are, like they're even less in the know as to how you write a good personal statement.
Yeah.
And so it's a really big problem. And I'd also had, experiences before helping students with D's and B's and C's get into like Nottingham, Durham, LSE, etc. One student I helped actually had basically no A levels and just 2 GCSE grades, and ended getting into a top 5 UK university.
Wow.
So I knew there was a lot of potential here. So I tested the website and got feedback from students. They were like, oh yeah, I really want this. And then when I arrived back from traveling just a few months ago, I was like, cool, it's time to go really hard on UniRise and make it something that is able to impact hundreds, thousands, hopefully millions of students over the next few years, in terms of helping them with their university applications.
So quick, I'll just fire a few questions at you for clarity around the business and the idea. So it's targeted for pre-uni students looking to apply to uni.
Exactly.
And it's predominantly focusing on their cover letters.
So it starts with the personal statement right now, and then we also have courses that take you through admissions tests, interviews, and then eventually courses that will help you with your final exams, and also courses that help you through university as well, to build employability skills and to sort of work out what career path you want to take. So we see it as almost like this conveyor belt that takes you from clueless 16-year-olds to superhuman graduate able to meaningfully impact the world.
Amazing, amazing. And from a monetization perspective, how does the business generate revenue?
Yeah, so a lot of our resources are free of charge, but there is the upsell, so that if you do want more support, if you want, for example, our access to our 24/7 UCAS advisor team, that is an upgrade. So it's the price is vary, but it's sort of 79 to 99 pounds is what we're pricing it at right now. That will likely have to go up to around 200 pounds, depending on sort of how we scale and things. But that's how we sort of make our money. And then there are some other opportunities in that the free resources that we're building are likely to get a lot of traction. So we're building out partnerships with like close to 3,000 schools to get some of our free content into the hands of students, so they can use our content to sort of navigate the application system. And that opens up opportunities to sort of advertise certain courses from universities. So for example, Anglia Ruskin might want to pay us for like a featured spot, or like a sort of like a day in the life video, or for us to produce some kind of content promoting them and put it into our guide in some way.
Got it. Okay, and just so what's the URL of the website, so I could put it in the video description below?
Yeah, of course. So it's just unirise.co.uk.
unirise.co.uk. Cool. So anyone watching this, it will be linked in the video description below. Do check it out. And I'll probably just link your LinkedIn as well. So
yeah, please do, man. That would be great.
When are you officially launching? Like when is it going live?
So the soft launch was actually just yesterday. And then we also have a bunch of students from last year when we did our beta version of the course. But then like the hard relaunch, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be next week. And so that's when we've sort of just tweaked some things in the technology. We're refilming parts of the course to reflect updates because of the COVID stuff. And we've just built out like a lot of new super useful content from all of the feedback we got from the beta students last year. And we basically built the product with students. Like it ticks like all the boxes in terms of what a student needs when applying to university. But yeah, so hard launch is going to be next week. But yeah, it's currently available to anyone who wants to check it out. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm conscious of your time, and we've hit the half-hour mark. Before we wrap up, I always like to ask people for a few bits of advice for a lot of the students and young people watching the video. So what would be your advice to those that are either in uni, pre-uni, or who have graduated?
Yeah, I think it's really important to, I mean, we're basically talking about this sort of age range, 18 to 25. And a lot of people see that as like a ladder. So like, let's move up the ladder to get us, to where we want to be at age 25 or 30. And I think what a lot of people are finding, like a lot of my friends who are in investment banking, for example, they're realizing that that ladder was against completely the wrong wall. And so they've climbed up to a place that they really don't enjoy. And now they're actually climbing back down and looking for another ladder and climbing that one. So my advice would be to see your sort of earlier years as a cobweb instead of a ladder. So you're not like climbing up, you're kind of just you're connecting dots and doing random things. Like I took 2 years off to go traveling, but now I'm back. Like there are loads of things I learned when traveling, loads of business opportunities I saw, and all of that contributed to this new vision that I have around UniRise and projects that are going to extend out of that. So I think it's really important to sort of connect dots when you're younger. And then once you found what you're really fucking passionate about, sorry, you might need to edit that out, but right. But then in that case, yeah, once you found out what you're really fucking passionate about, double down on that with laser focus. So like, don't work hard on something when you don't even know if it's the right thing for you. I would say like, kind of explore a bit more. Don't get sort of trapped in this idea that, oh, I have to be a millionaire by 30, or, oh, I have to be in this job by age 25. Because what you'll find is a lot of those people get into their 30s and they're like, what the fuck? This isn't what I want to do. So I would suggest doing that research stage, like life research stage earlier on. Yeah,
I think that is very, very good advice, and I totally agree with it. A lot of students and young people often rush it, and they set these unrealistic goals that are based on their peers and the people that they've seen before them,
exactly,
which isn't ideal. So yeah, keep an open mind, do lots of different things, and just know that you can't plan everything to a T, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. That was very, very useful. Thank you so much for that.
No problem, man.
Yeah, once that's all edited up and that, I'll send that over for review, and that will be up in the next month, about a month from today. But I'll keep you posted on when that's going out.
Cool, that sounds amazing. I think the only thing that I can think in terms of editing just from that is maybe if like it could just be clear that the interview is in August, so that we've already launched.
Yes. Yeah. Sweet. I'll put that in the description, or I'll just mention it at some point.
Yeah, something like that. Cool, man. Sweet. Wonderful. Thanks so much, dude.
No worries.
Look forward to speaking soon, bro. And,
if you've got any questions, just drop me an email, shout me whenever. And obviously we'll stay in touch going forward in that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Best of luck with the launch then in a couple of weeks.
Nice one, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Cheers, mate. Bye.